Convert an ordinary Rolodex into an extraordinary photo journal today on the Scrapbook Showgram. Hi, I'm Sandi Genovese and welcome to the Scrapbook Showgram. You know, big events like weddings and holidays and birthdays, they're special, but they're not the only events that are photo worthy. I think that it's kind of fun to have something that, like, I call a photo journal. And what it is a Rolodex. I'm going to set it down here so I can twist it. That's been set up so that you can feature a photo a day. And in some cases, I have to admit, it's not always easy to have a photo to represent the idea of what it was that I want to talk about for that day. So sometimes I use souvenirs as well, and I'll show you in just a minute. To begin with, you can see that January for me is a time where I kind of do spring cleaning. I don't usually, for some reason, January I really want to get organized, put all the holiday things away and sort of clean up. So that's why I have my helping hands. And then if I skip ahead to February, because I like to celebrate Valentine's for all my friends and family that I love. So I hand make Valentines, and that's why I featured hearts. As I go through the different months, they just represent things that make sense to me. In this case, this particular winter, we had more rain than we've had in a long time. And although this might not make sense to you, this is meant to look like photos. And if I'm going to take this out and show you so I can turn it around. April 29th, we aired the first episode of this Scrapbook Showgram. Lots and lots of photos. That's what I have written on the back side. So every one of these monthly divider pages, I've written something that kind of explains why I have the elements on that page that I do. Here I have flowers that indicate, did a lot of gardening, work in the yard that particular month. For me, June is the beginning of flip-flop weather, and so that's why I have that. They set off fireworks where I live in Laguna on the beach on the 4th of July. It's a really big deal, and although it's super crowded and traffic's bad, it's really fun. And then August, I love all those summer fruits, especially the watermelon. September is my birthday month. That's why I have candles there. October, Halloween is one of my favorite holidays because I love the whole dressing up, and I kind of like the idea of kind of subtly scaring people. I know, my family, we're kind of twisted. Plus candy. I mean, what gets better than that? And then the leaves, although in California here, we don't have a lot of changing of colors of leaves. We do have a lot of falling leaves that month. And then in December, of course, what I think of as the Christmas trees. So if I go back to January, just to give you an idea of what's happening every day, what I have is, for instance, January 1st. I have a tradition. If I'm not traveling, I always go over to my dad's house and we watch the Rose Parade together. He has a huge, I don't even know how many inch screen TV. It's almost like being in the movie theater. So the rose floats really look great. And so we watch the Rose Parade. And if I turn this around so you can see, on the back side is where I just write the information that makes sense, so that it's the journaling. If you think of it as a scrapbook, it's the journaling that tells you the story behind the photo. January 2nd, my cat Jeepers, all the leftover boxes and tissue and ribbon and everything from the holidays, he loves it. He just hangs out in it. So it's not hard to find a photo of him. He's there so much. Here, a friend of mine closed her studio the end of the year, and so I bought her paper shelving, which I have here in my studio, and I took a picture of that. Here, you can see my partner Jim. We are taping in my studio. This was the first day that we actually started taping the Scrapbook Showgram. Here, I attended a city council meeting for an event that was happening in my neighborhood. So I'll bring this up and show you. I actually took the agenda and cut it up to fit onto the page here. On this particular day, one of the companies that I license with, I have greeting cards that sell on QVC, and this was one of the days that those cards were airing, and so I watched it. This day we had particularly huge surf in Laguna, and my neighbor went out and took some great pictures that I had putting on that day. Sometimes, like I said, it's not a photo. In this case, my niece Allison, her two little girls, Quincy and Addison, they called to sing together, all together, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, because they had just learned the song. And so here is something to represent that. But without going through all of it, you get the idea. It's just everyday events that are fun to look back on. It's almost like you filled in a calendar, just a little tidbit of what happened that particular day. You'll be surprised at how easy it is. When I bought the Rolodex, it came with these dividers and these interior pages. Now the dividers, I'm not crazy about this sloping shape. It's not easy. It doesn't give you much room to write the month. So while I used as a guide the bottom to create the page, instead I opted for this I cut it, rounded, and then went back with my scissors and just rounded the corners. I cut them really all the same way, but I alternate them. So one faces this direction and then the next one the other way, so that you end up having them alternate back and forth. When you look at those divider pages up close, you can see how that works. You know, one's on the left side, the next one's on the right side, and it continues back and forth. So that's how I created, out of thick cardstock, the divider pages. Now there's several options that you can do. For the divider pages, you could do this as well as for the inside pages. Here are the pages that came with the Rolodex, and this Rolodex came with 500 of these. These are thin paper pages. Because they're thin, and you're putting photos instead, it ends up being just about the right thickness to fill up one by taking 365 photos. You can cut your paper out of, I don't have December filled in yet here, so you can cut your paper out of heavy cardstock and go ahead and place it in there. Because you're doing one a day, it's not so overwhelming. You don't have to stop and cut all the pages. But if you want to leave it on display like I did, and I did every month a different color, if you want to cut all the pages ahead of time, you can take, and on the paper cutter, you would just cut your paper to the correct dimension. So I'm going to go ahead, rather than get up and walk over to my paper cutter, I'm a little too lazy. I'm going to just use my scissors to cut this so that it matches this card page. And then I'm going to take, Rolodex sells very inexpensively this little punch, and you get it at the same place I got it at Staples, where they sell the Rolodex. And inside it has these little pegs, and it tells you to just slide this until the paper sits right against those pegs. I don't know if my hands are covering so you can see. So right now it's kind of lined up so they're right in the middle. I'm going to pull this out, and then all I'm going to do is hold that, and I'm going to be quiet so you can hear it cut. So it cuts, and this is cardstock that I'm cutting through, and it cuts out the shape that looks like this. So you could use this then to go into your Rolodex. It's a slightly different shape than the way they sell the cards that come, but they work just fine. So that's an option as well. When it comes to decorating the divider pages, I just used an assortment of things like stickers, die cuts. To do, for instance, the January one, I'm going to start with my white Jelly Roll pen, because I chose to have my dividers be black. I really like that impact of the black dividers against all the bright colors. So I have to write this upside down. I'm going to just handwrite January. And then I'll turn it so you can see it. And then I'm going to add, what I did is I used stickers, and I just went sort of like right off the edge. I have different patterned papers that I'm going to use to make the cuff on the sticker. So I'll go ahead and trim about where I want this to be. This is kind of a thick cuff. I think I might make this just a tiny bit thinner, just because it looks a little more natural to me. And I'll go ahead and stick this down, and then I'll trim off excess where it overlaps the edges. And then I'll use a little punch, see if I can, oh, here's one. To create what looks like a button, I'll just take a contrasting color, punch it, and when you have something little like this, it's helpful just to take a little Post-it note and turn it over so the sticky side is up. And I'm going to just dump the little hole, get down there. I'm going to put it so that it's now sticking to the removable adhesive that comes automatically on a Post-it note. It's going to hold it there so that as I place my adhesive over the top, it doesn't want to slide and move all around. So that's going to be the button for the cuff. And then I'll go ahead and place this. Could do either side. I think I'll do it there. Then you can go back with a white pen or a black pen in order to put the little holes for the button. You would continue to create the rest. In this case, if I bring this over, you can see, I'll bring this up so you can see I just added additional hands on there. And if you look at any of the months, that's how they're all done. These just happen to be die cuts, and I've just added strips of darker paper, and here I've rubber stamped an image with a watermark ink pad. This one I just handmade a little pattern for umbrellas, and I use stickers to create the raindrops. But you know, it's going to be different themes based on what happened to you each month of the year. This is fun, and it kind of looks like something that you would start in January, so you might wonder, why am I showing it now? Well, I'm actually making one as a gift for somebody, and I thought it would be a fun thing to show you before the holidays, so you have time to make one as a present that you could give to somebody, so that on January 1st, they're ready to start their photo journal. You know, you're going to be surprised at how easy it is to take a photo and just jot down a little something something every day in order to create a fabulous photo journal. Well, be sure to scroll down to the bottom of the page and send me your comments. I love hearing them, and I do comment back. If you've read through, you probably noticed that I have. Also, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, so that you get a reminder every week for a new episode of the Scrapbook Showgram. And if you have scrapbooking friends, then I'd love it if you share. Bye for now.